Yeah, it's Friday, weekend coming up. Only been a 4-day week here because of the Queen's birthday on Monday, so only had to listen to the babble from the creche for about 4 days, so that's always a bonus. And we had a successful Starlink launch with SpaceX earlier in the week, and I've posted that to my other channel, which is Lust in Space. Which I've also got on Google, but doesn't seem to be doing anything, so best to check it out on Bitchute. And if you feel inclined to throw a few dollars my way, you can now do that via Bitchute. There's actually a little dollar sign you can click on either of my Bitchute channels for Subscribe Star. So it'd be nice to get a few shekels occasionally, so we'll see how it goes. And it took me a while to work it out, but I finally figured out how to put the link in, and it seems to be running. So if you do feel generous, just drop a few pennies in there, and it'd be appreciated. Because I actually have to pay for my Bitchute channels. To have 2 channels, you actually need to pay Subscribe Star, but I don't mind actually backing Bitchute because they're not censored. They're much more freer than YouTube, I should say, and so therefore I think it's good to support them. I'm not giving a large amount to them. It's only about, say, $15 a month, but I'm quite happy to support them to get my extra channel there, and I am picking up subscribers there very slowly, but it's building, and so that's encouraging. But anyway, look, there's a stack of news here. I can't get through it all each day. I've got the first particular story is a bit of Dan bashing, and I'm sure that'll go down well with the audience. So it seems to be popular, and it's popular with me as well. So I'll get straight into that, and this is a story I held over from yesterday, so I won't catch up with all the stuff I've got on the pad, but we'll go through what we can. Okay, so the first story is, oh, by the way, it's 29 degrees in Cairns, very nice day. The first story is regarding Jeff Kennett, who demands Dan Andrews quits and accuses the Premier of not giving a damn about democracy, as he warns the pressure cooker his lockdown created is set to explode. And I tend to agree with Jeff. I think he's spot on with that particular acknowledgement. Former Victorian Premier Jeff Kennett let fly on Daniel Andrews over the COVID-19. He appeared on former AFL star Sam Newman's You Cannot Be Serious podcast. His sense of total authority that has brought the state to its knees. Kennett said the Premier's only focus is the medical solution and not businesses. And that's very true. It's that tunnel vision that's always about the medical consequence without thinking about the other side of it. And we still haven't got any figures on suicides due to unemployment. We can extrapolate from past experience, of course, and it's pretty serious. And what about all the misdiagnoses of cancer and other chronic diseases that have gone by because all these resources have gone into COVID? Society tends to overreact to any sort of a threat like this and goes too far one way. There's a lack of balance, and that is perpetuated by a ravenous media that will just push any scare campaign. They love it. They love fear, and they feed off fear, the mainstream media, and they're having a field day right now. In his hubris, his sense of total authority has brought the state to its knees. This is the man totally out of control because he believes he's totally in control, Mr. Kennett said. Well, that's true. He's delusional. And I think he's a sadist. I think this is one thing that Kennett doesn't say, but I really do believe that Andrews has got a pretty mean-spirited side to him. Imagine if I was responsible for 1 death, let alone 800. I would have run out of town. Given his performance to date, he doesn't give a damn about the administration and delivery of democracy under the Westminster system. And he certainly doesn't seem to give a damn about life because he's an incompetent who is causing all this destruction. But he hasn't got the self-awareness to actually admit it, that he is the one that's actually causing a lot of this pain. There's businesses out there that have folded, businesses that have got no hope, lives that have been lost. They don't care, he said. The Premier has got to realise that he has caused immeasurable harm psychologically, commercially, and actually contributed sadly to 800 deaths. Kennett said the public had a gutful and predicted Melbourne residents would increasingly ignore restrictions if they aren't eased as planned on October the 19th. And I agree again with Jeff Kennett. Totally true what he's saying. Melbourne's 14-day average, which is crucial to easing lockdown restrictions, has dropped to 10.6. The average must be below 5 for restrictions to ease on October the 19th. Something that just won't happen. Basically, you just get ready for more pain, Victoria, because things are not going to be eased. And I predicted this from the beginning. As we go into summer, hot weather, people have been cooped up for 9 months and they want to get out and they want to get out. And they will get out, he said. There is an anger building up. People have gone along with this as they should have, but that is being replaced by an anger. You can only push it so far. I've always said again that there's going to be lockdown fatigue and it will eventually hit a tipping point. It's like a pressure cooker. If the Premier doesn't let off some steam pretty quickly to enable us to get back to living our lives, I will tell you what, there is a very real chance that this pressure cooker will explode. People need to get out. They need to move. If the Premier thinks he's going to stop Victorians starting to exercise their rights to get out of these shutdown environments, then he's wrong. Kennett, who now works as a media commentator, said he believed the Andrews government should be held accountable for civic 19 deaths due to the bungled hotel quarantine. It is my view that this government, because they so dramatically failed in the administration of the hotel quarantine system, could be held to account the same way that any person in the private sector could, he said. Kennett also told the podcast the inquiry into the hotel quarantine fiasco was a sham. They have just played the inquiry off a break, and the inquiry was a sham anyway. It was just a talk fest, and so many obvious questions were not pursued with ministers and of public servants, he said. Forget the inquiry, it's a waste of time, it's a third-class act. Okay, and now we're on to travel updates and health and safety. Grim forecasts about when you can travel overseas. If you're itching to travel overseas again, don't get too excited just yet. The Treasurer has given an indication of when holidays will resume, as Aussies are not expected to be able to travel overseas until late 2021. I mean, that is absurd. So what he's saying is we're going to basically have about 18 months of no overseas travel. That is absurd, absolutely over the top. And I don't believe that will occur. I think people will want to get out. Australians are some of the greatest travellers in the world. I can't be the only one that's going crazy over this. Speaking to the National Press Club on Wednesday, Josh Frydenberg said international borders would likely remain largely closed off until late next year. The Treasurer said the budget assumed domestic borders would reopen by December, but international travel would not be possible until there was a vaccine. Oh, give me a break. By the way, they're still saying that it's supposed to be December the 17th when we're supposed to have some travel bubbles like New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, supposedly. But I mean, is Morrison doing a Dan Andrews, just titillating us with this, and then they're going to pull the rug from out under us and stop us travelling for longer periods of time? I don't know. I don't trust any of these governments anymore. I'm very, very cynical. They have very little regard for individuals' freedom. That's one thing that's become patently apparent. International travel, including by tourists and international students, is assumed to remain largely closed off until late next year and then gradually return over time, and a vaccine to be available by the end of 2021, which there is no guarantee whatsoever that will be the case, by the way, is one of the assumptions in the budget, Mr. Frydenberg told the National Press Club. Again, this is these politicians are all listening to these medical bureaucrats, or autocrats I should say. They just basically don't talk to normal people. They're out of touch. Our politicians are totally out of touch. They've taken every step possible to give Australia the best possible chance of getting a vaccine. Oh, give me a break. Vaccine or not, the temporary and targeted measures in this budget will create jobs and drive our economy. The road out of this crisis will be unpredictable. We will know that this budget outlines possible alternative upside and downside scenarios. We are taking nothing for granted. The budget papers confirm that international tourism, both inbound and outbound, is expected to remain low until the later part of 2021 and recover gradually. I mean, what? Oh, this is just zealotry, just basically close the borders. It's just a sledgehammer approach to everything. So sick of it. I think, thank God the Swedes have got some brains, because there's not much going around globally, I tell you. Common sense is such a rare commodity. The budget also assumes Western Australia will not reopen its border until April 2021, but other states and territories. That's absurd. Western Australia is not going to be have any interstate travel till April 21. This is crazy stuff. This is supposed to be Australia. Well done, Scott Morrison, with your national cabinet. What an absolute waste of time and effort that was. You are a failure, mate. If we had a strong government, they wouldn't put up with this crap. The federal government would have come down like a ton of bricks on Western Australia and bull them into line. Now they're talking about succession. This is ridiculous. Jeff Frydenberg said it took nearly 10 years for the unemployment rate to return to pre-recession levels after the recession of the 1990s. For young Australians, it took a remarkable 15 years. This time we are striving to do better, he said. Oh, yeah. Well, with the amount of debt that's piled up, the young are going to be the ones that are going to miss out the most. Look, I might just leave it at that, the two stories for the day. I've got more on the pad here, but I don't want to make these videos too long. I think I'll shut them down. I already did a video on that space mission, the number 13 Starlink mission today, so I'm a bit videoed out. So look, that might just do it, those two particular stories. There's more to come. There's a shocker on the NBN about how much they're getting overpaid, and there's a few other stories down the line. There was actually, I probably should get that one from Anastasia. I might get the details and put that in the files, but I've got a stack of stories to cover. There's no lack of news at the moment given the corona situation. And I'm only talking about Australia. There's a hell of a lot happening in the US. We've got the US election coming up in early November. So straight after the Queensland election, we're going to be into the big one over in the US. And I've got an article here from news.com.au that's predicting it'll be a landslide for Biden, which is the most absurd prediction I could ever imagine. It is going to be the opposite. I believe that Donald Trump will crush the election, and I'll give my reasoning when I come up with that story, which is from news.com.au, where it looks like all the far left reporters at News Corp seem to hang out. So it's not surprising you'll get a story like that, and that's the way mainstream media is pushing that story about Trump as well. It's just they've got no perspective. I look at YouTubers from the US to get my details, and they've got their finger on the pulse, and they predicted it correctly last time, and I'm going to stick with these people. And I think they make a very good argument in the favour of there being a Trump landslide, and the opinion polls are getting worse and worse because less and less conservative voters are prepared to show their hand with pollsters. So that's one of the big factors. But anyway, look, that's all I'm going to do today. As usual, please give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Keep those comments going. I'm getting nowhere with subs for some reason. Subscribers have just frozen on me, so maybe I'm not doing such a great job. I'm seeming to have hit a bit of a wall with subscribers. Again, if one of these videos goes viral, of course, that'll all change. But when you just get about 100 or so people each day watching a video, it isn't enough to really sustain the channel growth. I've got to get those occasional big jumps of 1,000 or so where the algorithm is kind to me. So I can only hope on that one. Fingers crossed it'll happen again, and we'll get a bit of a leap, and we'll get towards that magic 700 mark with subscribers. But in the meantime, look after yourselves. Have a good day. You got the weekend coming up if you're working, so I'm sure you'll enjoy that. And I hope there's some decent weather down in Melbourne. Like I say, 19 degrees right now and sunny. Little bit of breeze, but that's a given in Cairns. life could be a lot worse. Still struggling to find a place on the beaches, but I'll keep looking each day. And there are some new properties coming up, but generally you'll find they're either 4-bedroom mansions, well, not mansions, but just huge houses, and they're not that close to the beach, which are out of my price range anyway, some of them. And then you've got the 2 or 1-bedroom apartments. I would like to get something like a villa unit where I have a little bit of my own space and I don't have neighbours right next to me. But that's almost impossible to get. That's a segment of the market they haven't filled up here, so unfortunately that's going to be tough. But you know, it's good. It's a good problem to have. It's nice to sort of hunt down for houses. I enjoy that, and one of these days that perfect place might come up. Fingers crossed. But I hope whatever you're searching for comes to fruition, and you're having luck and getting excited about the festive season coming up at some stage, and hopefully without lockdowns. Hopefully a bit more freedom. That would be nice for all of us. So have a great day. And I'll keep the stories coming. There's plenty in the locker. So I'll catch you tomorrow.